Start with a dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, and sirens blare. The tables sit near folding chairs. The stage is set with paint and glue, and love went into every screw. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. Hearing room, a listening room. You're welcome here, so have no fear. The hearing room, the hearing room. Come in, my friend, where art can bloom. And welcome to the Woodshed podcast. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and I'm here today with Jay Singing Spirit Cunningham, and he'll be with us in just a moment. But first, I want to mention that the Hearing Room is always looking for participants and people to join our community. If you go to hearingroom.net, that's hearingroom, one word, .net, that is our website, and you can find out all about the things the Hearing Room is doing. We do a lot of online things at the moment during COVID, but we are looking for a new location. So we will be getting a new location where we're going to open up, and it'll be better than ever. And you'll know more about that if you keep your eye on our Facebook page and on the website. So the Hearing Room is a nonprofit arts organization, for those of you who don't know. And we provide a way for artists in New England to come, meet each other, jam together, play open mics, and occasionally we have shows too. And it's a great place to come. So keep an eye on our website and Facebook page. I also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, Greenville, Junction, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe. The Greenville Junction Shop is a shop that sells all kinds of things. They sell used furniture, used appliances, used electronics, all kinds of stuff. And they are soon going to have a store open in Greenville, New Hampshire, the physical store. They are also on Facebook, so you can check out what they have, and occasionally they will post their deals on Facebook. So look up the Greenville Junction Shop, Junktion, Shoppe, and you can find out more information about that. So today I'm here with Jay Singing Spirit Cunningham. How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing fine there, Aaron. Great.
All right. I'm glad you're here. Jay's a very interesting guy. He has a lot to tell us, but why don't you start with where you're from?
Well, I'm originally from Taunton, Massachusetts, and I lived here till I was probably about 8 years old and moved out into the backwoods of Norton, Massachusetts, and was there till I found my beautiful wife of 45 years, and I'm back in Taunton again. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I've been to Oregon and a few other places, and I decided to settle back in my hometown. So
Yeah. So you have an interesting middle name, right? Singing Spirit. What does that mean?
well, that was gifted to me by a native elder, Abenaki. His name was John Running Deer, and he was from Vermont, Irisburg, Vermont, and he gifted me the name. I gifted him a tobacco pouch to wear around his neck,
Mm-hmm.
and he wore that for a year. And mind you, this man was a very, very old man, so he was
Okay.
kind of a little forgetful. Although he had a lot of good medicine, he was a little forgetful. So his wife had to remind him after a year that he was supposed to give me a name
Oh.
because I gifted him the tobacco. So he met me at the Dighton Intertribal Indian Hall here in Dighton is right up the street from me where I live, Dighton, Massachusetts, and
Mm-hmm.
and he said to me, he said, "I got your name." I said, "Oh." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I got your name," and then he called me Lee, and I said, "You have me confused with the other guy." And he goes, "Oh, that's right. You're Cunningham, like Richie Cunningham." I go, "Okay." I go, "What's the name?" He goes, "Well, I decided to name you Big Nose Hawk." And I said, "John," I says, "I don't know.
Nose Hawk.
That's not going to work." And he goes, "Well, what did you come up with?" And I said, "Well, seeing I've been clean and sober now for nearly 2 years, before I felt my spirit was trapped in the bottle,
Mm-hmm.
or in whatever other illegal substance I was using, and now that it was outside of whatever it was in, it was singing joyously."
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with the name Singing Spirit. And he goes, "Hey, that's pretty good." He goes, "We'll go tell everybody that's your name."
Okay, I like that.
It's a good story, but it is true. And after he crossed over, after he passed away, I decided to take the other name that he had originally given me, Big Nose Hawk, in ceremony, just to kind of honor him and probably humor him, because I felt he was still looking down on me and watching, and I feel he's always with me in everything I do now. It's a native thing. We feel that our elders, if we seek them when we go into a dream state or meditate, they come to us and give us answers. And like, for instance, I needed the words to a drum song. So I needed what they call what we call a sneak up dance, which is when the warriors go into the circle, getting back to dancing, go into the circle, and they sort of emulate when the warriors were dodging bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So when certain beats, like I could demonstrate that to you if you wanted me to, but I do have my hand drum here.
Oh, sure, why not?
And
Good.
okay, when we start off, the warriors are in a crouch position, looking down on the. Actually, I'm wrong. It's not a sneak up. Wait a minute. Yes, it is a sneak up. I was thinking of another dance that we do, a duck and dive. That's the one where we dodge bullets. I get confused. I'm getting up in age, you know.
Yeah.
It's no excuse. But anyways, the sneak up dance, we start out like this, a ruffle beat, and that's when the warriors crouch down on the ground and they're pretending they're hunting. They're picking up pieces of grass and sniffing the air and looking around and looking through taking their whatever club they have, war club, weapon, and brushing the grass and looking for whatever, rabbits or whatever, or deer tracks or whatever. And then when this beat starts, that's when they stand up and start dancing regular. Then it starts like this again. And I needed a sneak up song, so he always said to me, he'd speak to me through the trees. And I said, okay, John. You know, he said after I leave this earth, he says, I'll contact people, I'll always be here. So I'm sitting out back and I'm trying to think of a sneak up song, and I got my drum in hand, and all of a sudden I hear in my head the word Nolka, which in Abenaki, come to find out, means deer, and Awasos, which is bear in Abenaki. So I heard those two words and I didn't know what they meant. I've never heard them before. So I went and looked up on the computer in the Abenaki dictionary, and sure, there it was, deer and bear. So I felt he sent me a message for that song. So you know, it's interesting. You know, things happen for a reason. There are no coincidences. You know.
Okay. Yeah. You know. I mean, we were talking about your background, and you said you're Abenaki, but I don't know a lot about Native tradition. Right. What does it mean to be Abenaki, and what do you do to participate in the community right now?
Okay, for one thing, Abenaki are part of were. I think they still are some factions of the Abenaki people. There's Western and there's Eastern Abenaki. We were known as children of the dawn, children of the first light. In other words, we were the first one to see the sunrise in the east, on the East Coast. And that goes along also with the all entailed the Micmac, the Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy, and we were all known as the Wabanaki in Federation.
And that's the Native American Federation, or
okay, Wabanaki. That ranges down through like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, Vermont, New Hampshire, even down here, there were Abenaki people. We helped during King Philip's War. My people did. We helped. We were on the side of the Wampanoag.
Okay.
We helped against the when first contact happened. And of course it didn't work out too well, but it helped. You know, King Philip did try, but his father. I'm also a little tiny bit Aquinnah Wampanoag, so I got a little bit, tiny bit of, but more Abenaki, and Massasoit Yellow Feather. He was more open-armed to the Europeans when they first landed, the Pilgrims, and he helped them through the first winter, and you know the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you might be familiar with it. And
Yeah.
King Philip wasn't. He thought his father, he was a good man. He was a good chief, good leader, but he was a little too. He didn't see the big picture coming,
Mm-hmm.
and King Philip did. Metacomet did. He saw that what was happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he tried to stop it, but he wound up with his head posted in Plymouth Square for years.
Yeah.
Benjamin Church, the whole deal there. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But anyways, I dance at powwows.
Mm-hmm.
I feel in my heart saying I'm also part Scotch, Irish, and English, that I can do a little, if not repair, but at least carry on the tradition of the native culture that my other half, and try to make amends a little bit, so to speak.
Who was Abenaki? Was it your mother or your father?
My mother.
Yeah. So she.
And that's where you usually get the blood quantum from the from the female side, from your mother's side.
Mm-hmm. And did she teach you a lot of the stuff about Abenaki?
No, she hid it from me.
Oh.
I didn't find out till later on in life. My father always, he was full-blooded Scot, Irish, and he said, whatever you do, don't talk about Indians around your mother.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was ashamed of it.
Well, I think that's probably because she was taught that when she was young. I mean, they probably were ashamed because it was dangerous to be Native. The U.S. government was not always nice to them.
No.
And, I can imagine it's hard to think of your children going through the things that you went through. So.
Well, there was also a thing where they were, even though I'm not full blood, I could have been taken away into an Indian school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they knew that if she had admitted, if she lived the white way, so to speak. I hate to use that expression because it's racist, but let's say the European way or the English way or whatever. If she didn't live that way, she would have been identified as an Indian, and she was afraid that they might take her children or whatever,
Well, that's not that far-fetched. I mean, they did do that, so. So, do you want to play something?
I can play something, either the drum or the guitar or whatever.
Up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, I can play a little bit of the. This is a Micmac song. It was written by a fellow by the name of Junior Peter Paul from New Brunswick.
Okay.
And it's called the Bear Song. It's a healing song.
Okay.
And it starts off with these are called honor beats. These 4 beginning beats. And then well, well, hey, hey, ah, well, hey. Well, well, hey, hey, ah, well, hey. Well, hey, hey, ah, well, hey, ah, well, hey, ah, well, hey, yeah, hey, oh, well, hey, hey, ah, well, hey, ah, well, hey, ah, well, hey, yeah, hey, oh, well, well, hey, reason I didn't, I usually play 4 push-ups, 4 rounds of that song, is because when I'm on video or whatever, it's against tradition to record an honor song in its full entirety. I can play. In other words, I can play half of it. But if I played all 4 sacred rounds, then it wouldn't be right if I did that. So
Okay. Well, thank you for showing or playing it for us. So you do dancing as well. Who taught you all this stuff about Native culture?
Well, it all started when I joined the Taunton Intertribal Indian Council. Through a friend of mine. He was a Ojibwe from Sugar Island, Michigan, and he was in the program of AA to begin with, and then he got me interested in the program of Wellbriety, which is a Native American form of AA, except we do it in a traditional. I don't know if you've ever heard of a talking circle.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Where we take a feather or a talking stick and hold it, and once you've got ownership of that stick in your hand, you're the only one that is allowed to speak at that time. No one is allowed to interrupt you, and you tell what you did to stay sober, or what you did to have a good day that day or that week before. And anyways, he introduced me to the what is called the Red Road of Wellbriety, and it's older. In fact, it's older than the program of AA. It's 259 years old. And it was developed by Chief Handsome Lake. He was a Seneca Indian, which is Iroquois, New York way, and he developed it because he was having a lot of problems with alcohol in his community amongst the young braves. So he wanted to develop a program to try to help. And it had just carried on from there, and it's been carried on. And anyways, to make a long story short, I joined the Taunton Intertribal Indian Council and eventually became senior sub-chief of the council, which I had a lot to do with organizing the powwows and events and socials that we have and gatherings and like that. And then I started to learn about my genealogy and had done study on my genealogy, had some of my elder, who I call my grandmothers, they did the research for me and discovered my family tree, my lineage, all the way back to my mother. Things that I didn't know, but I was suspect of. You know what I mean? I was suspect all my life. I knew I was drawn toward that culture for a reason, and evidently it turned out that it came to fruition that I was turned out to be part Native. Right. So I'm proud of my heritage. Proud of both my heritages.
Yeah.
The Scotch part. They were similar to the natives. They had clans. They were, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. So when you were mentioning a powwow, I sort of know what that means, but can you define it? Like, what is a powwow? Well,
the powwow started out. If you ever go to a powwow, you'll see that the circle that the people dance in is roped off, and there's an eastern gate, an eastern door, facing toward the east. That's where everybody comes from when they're born, from the east,
I see.
where the sun rises. We
Right.
all go to the west, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have a roped off circle until, what was it there, Wild Bill,
Wild Bill Hickok.
one that, yeah, he devised that, roping the circle off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to keep the general public out from entering into the circle, more or less, because there was a lot of stuff. You know, he had Sitting Bull there. He had a few other, you know, because Sitting Bull went when he was captured. He was given a job to work for a Wild Bill there, Wild Bill Cody, yeah, or Buffalo Bill.
Oh,
I
Buffalo
get them
Bill.
confused.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill Cody. Yeah, and but before that, the powwow was always a gathering of medicine people.
Mm-hmm.
It was just called a gathering. Powwow means a gathering of medicine people, and it's a place where natives can't come to barter and trade. They had trading blankets. They didn't have crafters booths like they do now in the modern times. They had, like, natives would come in with their crafts that they made, and they'd lay out a blanket, and then they'd barter over that between one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they trade. Someone would have horses or whatever, and they trade horses for whatever they liked on the blanket. You know, and then they'd dance. They'd have drum, and they dance, and it just got a little more modernized throughout the years, but it still holds the same medicine. Because when we go into the circle and dance, we at the same time we pray.
So it's a spiritual
we pray,
thing.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
And we pray for all living things, all mankind, all people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this year hasn't been too good for powwows
No. it hasn't
or
been too-
live events at all.
Right.
But normally we would drum on. I have a 26-inch buffalo hide cedar drum that me and 5 other guys, or 6 guys, or sometimes up to 8 guys sit around, and we do at least 13 powwows a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we camp there for the weekend, and we drum during the day from noontime till supper time. And then on the first day, like Saturday, we'd have a feast, and everybody would gather for like a potluck feast. People would bring food in with them, and we'd all share the food.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, powwows do nowadays have food vendors, and most of it's native food.
What's native food like?
Like fry bread.
Mm-hmm.
Fry bread is almost like a doughboy.
Yeah.
You know, like a fried dough.
Fried dough, yeah.
But it's a little different. It's a little bit different. It's a little different ingredient. Then there's venison burgers, bison burgers, elk stew. One vendor had frog legs.
Well,
You know,
that's interesting.
just like chicken. You know.
Right. I think of French restaurants when I think of frog legs, but
Yeah.
So, do you said you learned to play guitar in your bio that I read when you were 15, which is
Right.
also when I started.
Oh, cool.
So, how did you get going with that? Did you have a mentor, or just you pick it up?
Well, this is how it all went down.
Mm-hmm.
My mother wanted me to do something to occupy myself. So she decided, well, why don't you play drums, Jay? Well, after she heard the results of when she bought me my first kit, and she heard the results of the drum and the noise, she says, that isn't such a good idea. Why don't you pick up guitar? So I said, I don't have a guitar, Ma. So my brother did, though. So I picked up his guitar, and I broke one string on his guitar, and he almost broke it over my back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got really angry with me. So my mother, in turn, went to Sears and Roebuck and bought a Silvertone guitar with that rope cord
Right.
for a guitar strap and everything. And turns out nowadays those guitars are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Silvertone and Decca and all those brands, you know.
Did you keep
Stella.
it? Did you?
No, I don't know what happened to that guitar. I think see, we had a house fire back at where I used to live in Norton, and after my brother took over, after my mother and father crossed over, he took over the house, and he kind of didn't clean the chimney flue, and the house caught on fire, and everything was. He's lucky to get out, but anyways, I picked up guitar. She bought me a Chet Atkins guitar book, and I learned a few chords, what we call cowboy chords, or my sons, which are great, phenomenal musicians, calls, hey, Dad, you only play 5 chords. You know? I go, I play at least 10, you know, and they go, well, you got to learn the pentatonic scale, and you got to learn how to play neoclassical music, and you know, like Yngwie, Mobstein, and all those guys, right. And you know, and I says, I'm happy. I said I'm happy with what I do, you know.
Yeah.
And they are good guitarists.
Oh yeah.
Neither one of them sing, but they can play the frets off a guitar, and they're self-taught.
Well, it's
and that's very difficult to do, is teach yourself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you start out a lot with playing in open modal tunings. You know, like I tuned the guitar to what I thought sounded like a G chord, and I'd play and I'd strum, and then and then I discovered that, there's standard concert tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And now I got to learn how to play chords and this and that, and it all, you know, it sort of like occupational therapy for me.
That's good.
Yeah, music to me is medicine, you know.
Right.
In any form.
Yeah. So, what did you do for work?
I was a metal spinner, which I formed discs of metal like sterling silver and brass and copper and aluminum and like that onto a mandrel, which was going to be the shape like a bowl or a cup or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I formed that, and I formed that with a tool under my arm like this on a T-rest. Pretty exerting, you know, pretty strenuous. I used to manufacture church goods and goods for Reed and Barton, Silversmith, and a lot of the silver companies around here. Not too many people do it nowadays. I think I'm actually the last person to learn the trade in Taunton or in the Bristol County area. And I had actually practiced that trade for almost 40 years.
You ever get a call to someone needs a silversmith now, and they call you?
I got a call. Well, not so much, but a metal spinner. I get a call from a lamp company that manufacture like Norwell. It's in East Taunton, and they'll call me up and they'll say, "Jay, can you come in and spin a job for us?" And I'll say, "Name." They tell me name my price, and I said, "Okay."
10 million.
I got to get at least $35-40 an hour anyway.
Right.
To come in and do that,
Well, it's a specialized thing. I would think so.
Yeah. And but it is. There's a lot of risks involved. You can get severe cuts. It's not a good trade, actually, if a guitar player isn't careful to have, because you can lose a finger if you're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Right.
Like at working around any machinery,
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't help out my hearing too much either. I do suffer from tinnitus.
Right.
That's probably also from playing in a loud rock and roll band too.
Yeah, sure it didn't help.
I got a lead guitarist that won't keep it below 11, So, and then I say, "Nelson, can you turn that down?" And he goes, "What?" Like Rick's song there. What?
Right, Rick Page. Yeah.
But yeah,
So-
we don't play out a lot. My band, we do a lot more benefits because there's really no. You really can't make a lot of money nowadays. Well, nowadays, of course, you can't. But I mean, even back doing bar gigs or whatever, a lot of the owners don't want to. They want to make you work for the door and blah blah blah, and and then you got to bring your own crowd, and
Right.
Yes, we'll supply the PA system and like that, but you got to bring your own people in, and we'll charge $10 at the door or $5 at the door or whatever, and maybe you'll make like $60 a piece by the end of the night. And it's like, this is just about having fun.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Well, who's in your band? Not like what instruments do you have?
Well, I have a fiddle player, and he plays mandolin, and he also doubles as a bass player.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lead guitarist, a rhythm guitarist, a drummer, and a female backup singer.
Mm.
So there's a 6-piece band. And to honestly try to make any kind of money between 6 people and splitting that up, it's virtually impossible unless you're making a couple of thousand a night or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
But so it's all about having fun, and we do,
So, what's the name of the band?
CRS.
CRS, which stands
and
for
I
what?
can explain what that means.
Okay.
Can't remember.
Okay, I got it.
I'm not going to go any further than that.
Can't remember stuff.
Stuff, yeah. Or it could mean classic rock music, classic rock songs.
There you go.
If you want to, but it doesn't mean that. Because
Yeah.
most of us are all in our upper ages, like 60s, upper 60s, and we're from the 60s.
Right.
So, when you're working with 2 or 3 brain cells, and you got 2 standing on the street corner, and the other one that's left is kicking those 2 to the curb. It's kind of like you got to try to remember things sometimes, and a lot of times, like it's it's incredible, What can I say?
That's
I'm
great.
an old hippie too,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to Woodstock?
No, my mother wouldn't let me go.
Yeah, my dad was in L.A., so he couldn't go. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's.
My older brothers went.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they went, but they wanted to take little Jay along, and my mother said no way.
Right, protect you.
Yeah. So I went down the street there was a hippie commune down the street in the woods that I knew about, and I went and spent the day with them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a short break here, and then we'll continue. Right. And I think I want to hear some more music from you with the guitar this time. We haven't done any guitar stuff yet, so we'll be.
Maybe I'll do an original.
That would be great. I just want to take a second here to mention the Hearing Room, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are in the Massachusetts area. We are trying to locate in Lowell, Mass. We closed our previous venue, and we are opening a new one, but please check us out at hearingroom.net. If you want to find out more about us, we have stuff there that says where to find us online and go to Zoom events. And also there will be updated information on looking for the new place. So please check us out at hearingroom.net. That's hearingroom, one word, .net. And we also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shoppy. That's Greenville, Junktion, SHOPPE, Greenville Junction Shoppy. The Greenville Junction Shoppy is in Greenville, New Hampshire, and it's also available online at Facebook, so you can check them out. Junktion, Greenville, Junktion, Shoppy, SHOPPE on Facebook. And they sell all kinds of used items, furniture, appliances, electronics, things that you want. So check them out, and pretty soon they will even have a physical store in the middle of Greenville, New Hampshire. So you can take a nice ride up there and check out what they have for you. So today we're speaking with Jay Singing Spirit Cunningham, and he's been enlightening us about some things about the Abenaki tribe and other things about Native American culture. But he's also a guitarist who does original music, and I think he is going to play some original music for us right now. So, Jay, what do you have?
Well, I got a song that I wrote probably about, I'm going to say 20 years ago. And I wrote it for Kids Safe Day, when we started to be infested by coyotes. Because people leave food out, trash or whatever. They're small animals, and I guess they make nice snacks for the coyotes.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wrote this song. It's called Coyote Blues. I was walking through the woods, just minding my own, when down the path ahead of me, just chewing on a bone, sat Mr. Coyote, just as bold as can be alone. I was just hoping and praying he wasn't gonna chew on me. I got those coyote blues. I got those coyote blues. So if you got a little chihuahua or a little baby cat, you better pay attention and know right where they're at. a coyote comes out and he prowls at night, and just one of them might be enough to whet his appetite. I got those coyote blues. I got those coyote blues. Well, I don't know what he's after, but I sure hope it ain't you or me. Take a tip from Singing Spirit, don't mess with Mr. Coyote. So if you're out with your family for a powwow lunch, don't beat the coyote, 'cause I got a hunch he's here to stay, and he won't go away, no. And if you go ahead and feed him, you might be his next entree. I got those coyote blues. I got those coyote blues. So it's the end of my story. It's strange but true. If you go feeding coyotes, they might just wanna punch on you. I got those coyote blues. I got those coyote blues. Well, I don't know what he's after, but I sure hope it ain't you or me. Take a tip from Singing Spirit, don't mess with Mr. Coyote. Thank you.
Very nice. I love those songs where you get to make animal noises and stuff like that. That's great. And you got that in there really nicely. The way you just slip it in, it's subtle. I like it. So you wrote that 20 years ago?
20 years ago, yep.
Yeah.
And I was doing was asked to play for Kids Safe Day in Whittington is a part of Taunton, Massachusetts. It's like a subdivision of Taunton, well, you might say. Anyways, they sort of like Berkeley is to Taunton, and then they have Whittington, Berkeley, Whittington. But it was in Whittington. They blocked off all the streets, and they were teaching. They had the fire department. They had the big fire hydrant walking around there and shaking kids' hands and talking to them about fire safety. And they asked me to play a song about coyote, how to be safe around coyotes. So I said, well, I had a couple weeks to write it before and then I thought and I thought and I thought, and I came up with that song.
So it's not only entertaining, it's educational. That's great.
Yeah.
I know there's a problem with coyotes around this area in particular. Up in New Hampshire, so we do get coyotes around.
Is that where you're from, New Hampshire?
No, I live here now. Yeah, I'm in Salem, New Hampshire.
Wow, yeah. That's where we do a lot of our powwows.
Oh, in Salem,
New Hampshire.
Wow.
Right off of Route 16, White Mountain Highway there.
Oh yeah.
Ossipee.
Right. Well,
There's a powwow ground that's called Mother Earth's Creation. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
no,
No.
but
It's like a place where this couple devised, they're both native, and they wanted to devise an educational place for people to go, the public or whatever. And they got these giant dream catchers hanging from the trees. They got teepees set up all throughout the place. They got a native artifact museum, mini museum, and they have powwows. They put on 3 powwows a year.
oh, well, check it out next time. When's the next one?
Next year, next July.
Yeah, I
probably
guess
next
when this
July.
is over. Yeah.
Next July. They do one in July, August, and September.
Yeah, I guess it won't happen this year, but
No. I don't think it might. I hope it can happen next year.
yeah, well, we'll
see.
see if the vaccine is created by then.
Yeah.
They're saying there's something out on the horizon, but I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So, do you have another song you want to do?
Yeah, I can do another song. I got this one here. This one I wrote. This one's called Spiritual Ride.
Mm-hmm.
The second we board, our journey begins on a vessel of carbon base, analyzing every bend. There are hills and dales, rocky waters and tides, unsure of our sails on this spiritual ride. Ride on and on this spiritual ride, with love as your fuel. Other souls can provide the temporary transport on a sea deep and wide. Eventual entrance to the other side. Now when we reach destiny, we rest for a while with our awaited serenity, and our aura will smile. Then we'll board a new vessel, with a new course we'll abide. Second chances await us on this spiritual ride. Ride on and on this spiritual ride, with love as your fuel. Other souls can provide the temporary transport on a sea deep and wide. Eventual entrance to the other side. Now some people say that death is the end. But don't you believe them? Life will come around again, and when it does, we'll journey with pride, taking our voyage on this spiritual ride. Ride on and on this spiritual ride, with love as your fuel. Other souls can provide the temporary transport on a sea deep and wide. Eventual entrance to the other side. Eventual entrance on this spiritual ride. Thank you.
What's the inspiration for that?
Actually, Donovan Leitch, maybe.
Oh yeah.
My native spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
My beliefs in reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we carry on. You know, either by spirit or by in another life form. That's why my teacher, my native teacher, he always told me, like, when I see a ant or anything on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
not to step on it, because that could have been someone in a form of, you know, I mean, these are native beliefs. You know, you gotta, and that's the lessons that I was taught. You know,
Right.
and I try to portray it in the music. Of course, a while back, before I discovered my native spirituality, I practiced other forms of religion, which were some people frown upon as Wicca.
Oh yeah.
Which people don't, you know, narrow-minded people, they don't understand quite what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they think, ooh, he worships the devil, and ooh, you know, and this and that, and we don't even have a devil, you know. The native culture don't have it. And the thing is, there are similarities between the two. They're
Mm-hmm.
both earth-based, you know, but there are a lot of differences between the two.
Were you involved with groups, Wiccan, like?
I was more of a solo practitioner.
Yeah.
I wasn't a member of a coven or anything like that. I used to go to gatherings, like at different spiritual shops,
Mm-hmm.
that they'd have on Samhain, which is, you know, Halloween, and we'd gather there, and there'd be, you know, like druids and people that practice druidism, and you know, all sorts of pagan beliefs
Right.
would gather there.
Well, let's. Could you kind of just talk about that a little bit so that people know what Wicca is? I'm somewhat familiar with it, but
Well, Wicca, see, it all relates to back in the day. My great grandmother on my father's side, which is Scottish, which she was Wiccan, and she was a healer. She healed with different herbs and poultices and like that. And back in her day, they were persecuted. You know, they were yeah, you know how the story. Well, the
Right.
the burning time stopped. By
Right.
the time she was a girl, but
Well, there's I know in Salem, Mass, they have or in the '90s, I lived there, and they had a pretty strong group of people who were advocates for Wicca, and didn't like that Salem, Mass, was called the Witch City because of the hangings,
right,
because they hung the witches in the witch trials in the 1600s. But the Lori Cavett was one of the people who was very public about
yeah,
everything, and she had the store down there. But I learned about it from them a little bit, and I went to a couple meetings to just check it out, and
yeah,
it's pretty much like any New Age type religion. It's about getting in touch with yourself, and that's and nature, and I found it very peaceful.
Well, it is interesting. You know, it is interesting. But of course, when I came to the native community, and I sat there with in fact, I have it upstairs in my drawer. I put it away, a pentagram
Oh yeah.
that I used to wear, and it was turquoise and sterling silver.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. I had purchased it from the Celtic Cricket in Swansea, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And an elder, a native elder, his name was Tall Oak. When I first stepped foot for my first council meeting, he saw it. I had it around my neck, and he goes to me. He goes, "You're a witch, aren't you?" I go, "I might be." He goes, "Well, you people believe in the devil."
Yeah,
I go,
it's not true.
"Not true." He goes, "Oh, you can't tell me." He goes, "You're all animal sacrifices and this and that and blah blah blah." I says, "Whatever." So I just, out of respect for him, I took it off so
Right.
it wouldn't disturb him because he's an elder. But no, and he happened to be one of the best healers He was a medicine person.
Yeah.
He was a healer. He could lay hands on and heal. I wear dentures now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I first had my teeth pulled out, I had bone chips in my gums. And we were at a drum gathering out in my backyard, and Chuck Tall, the elder, came over and he said, "You're having pain from bone chips." He goes, "Let me touch your face." And he took his hands like that around my jaw and around and didn't really touch, didn't make contact. And by the middle of the day, the bone chips rose out of my gums.
Wow.
So he could do that, you know. In
Yeah.
fact, my buddy had a vasectomy. Listen to this. And he had a kid a couple of years later. He got a girl, you know,
Right.
in that way. And he ended up having a young boy. And he said, "Don, I think Chuck Standing will reverse my vasectomy."
Could be.
So that's a good one. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, Wiccan is very, very, very misunderstood, you know,
Right.
and it is a recognized religion in the United States.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's just popular imagination sometimes leads to bad things.
Yeah.
And I know that the witch trials are a good example of that.
Well, that started with all with two little girls
Yeah.
who saw something that and then they said, "Oh, this one's a witch. This one must be a witch."
Right.
You know, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
So,
Well, speaking.
I'm sure they don't. I'm sure that like a lot of people say, well, witches fly on broomsticks and this and that. They don't. That is a fallacy.
Yeah.
What they do is their ability to, what do you call, astral
projection, yeah.
and that's the way they fly.
Mm-hmm.
Out of body.
Yeah.
That's what I was taught when I was practicing. I had some experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was amazing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a little scary. But anyways.
So the Scotch, you said you're English and Scottish and as well as native.
Yeah.
So do you do anything with like Scottish, Irish music?
I do Celtic music.
Do you?
I do Celtic music. I do. What I want to do is go up to Loon Mountain.
Okay.
And go to that festival up there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But you
I
play.
don't think I could throw the what is that? The caver there, the big pole, the telephone pole. It's like
yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you mean. Throwing the giant log tree. Yeah, you got to be pretty strong for that, I think.
I think you got to be pretty drunk too, maybe. That helps.
Yeah, all of the above. So do you have any songs that relate to your Scottish background?
Well, I got one that I do and it was written by Dougie MacLean.
Okay.
You're familiar with Dougie, right?
I've heard the name. I don't know his music very well.
He wrote the song Caledonia.
Okay, I know that one.
Caledonia is another name for Scotland and the homeland.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote it. It's not like the B.B. King version there, Caledonia.
Yeah.
That's what I always explain to people. Don't expect me to sing the B.B. King version because it's not going to happen. I don't know if you can see the changes that have come over me these last few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. I've been telling old stories, singing songs that make me think about where I come from, and that's the reason why I feel so far away today. And let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me. Now I'm going home. And if I become a stranger, it would make me more than sad. Caledonia, you're everything I've ever had. Well, I moved and kept moving, proved the points I needed proven, lost the friends I needed losing, found others on the way. I have kissed the last season, made them cry, stolen hearts, there's no denying, sometimes fled with conscience flying somewhere in the wind. And let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me. Now I'm going home. And if I become a stranger, it would make me more than sad. Caledonia, you're everything I've ever had. Now I'm sitting here before the fire, the empty chair, the forest choir, the flames that could get any higher are withered now, they gone. But I'm steady making my way is clear, and I know what I will do tomorrow. The hands are shaking, kisses flowing, then I'll disappear. Let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. And if I become a stranger, it would make me more than sad. Caledonia, you're everything I've ever had. Yes, if I become a stranger, it would make me more than sad. Caledonia, you're everything I've ever had. It's a pretty song.
Yeah, I like that one. So, are you you play that very often, or?
Yeah, I play it quite a bit. You know, at open mics.
Mm-hmm.
I always bug my buddy Art Grossman
Yeah.
to play an Irish tune,
Oh yeah.
and he said, "Ain't gonna happen."
No, he
So I
doesn't.
said, "Well, I'll play something then."
Right. No, I like Irish stuff. We had an Irish night at the Hearing Room at one point, where we were just
nice.
doing Irish music. It was pretty popular for a little while, and then it kind of petered out. I think there's so many Irish music evenings around the area. Just there's a lot of interest in Irish music, so it's competition.
Yeah, I used to get involved with a lot of at certain like pubs, Irish pubs. They'd have a ceilidh,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a musician circle, and
Right.
we'd all sit around and trade tunes
Mm-hmm.
and stories. And that's back when I was drinking, and I went to a place in Plymouth called O'Toole's, Michael O'Toole's, and this 95-year-old Scot, fully dressed in tartan, kept buying me drinks, and he drank me under the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to call for somebody to pick me up because I couldn't drive. And he was standing there telling stories all night.
Yeah, well, some people build up a pretty big tolerance. I think, don't Scottish people have a reputation for that, or Irish?
Yeah.
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 But,
Well, like I say, when I got sober, I'm Scotch, Irish, and English. I left the Scotch behind.
yeah, that makes sense.
'Cause that was one of my favorite. In fact, it was one of my favorite drinks.
Yeah. Well,
Scotch or Jameson's.
in moderation, it works. Yeah, I like it as well.
Mm.
So you play out at open mics a lot, but do you get gigs with your band much when it's not COVID?
Well, we play it primarily one place, actually one nightclub we play at a lot, quite a bit. It's called the Oasis,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in Norton. It used to be the old Lantern Lodge. It was a disco years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we play there the owner just happened to be good friends with Johnny Kay of Steppenwolf.
Wow.
And he donated all their old PA equipment to his friend, and they got an excellent, phenomenal PA system.
Right.
There,
Well,
so we don't have to lug in any PA or anything, just the guitar amps. You know, it's an awesome place. He's got the lights, the psychedelic lights and everything. You know, it's
wow.
pretty cool. A lot of barroom. I know when we're really being enjoyed, when there's a good Donnybrook in front of us, you know, a good row.
Yeah. So it's that kind of place.
Yeah, it's not exactly a dive. I have played in dives before.
Yeah.
I played in places where I had to chain our equipment down.
Yeah.
And last call would be, the bartender would say 5-0. That would mean the cruisers would be parked out front.
Right. Just to
Waiting
make
for-
sure.
So that's when I used to play with a mandolin player. Just him and I, without the band. But
Well, it sounds good. Did you do that like once a month or?
yeah, we played, well, most of the time. Jeff Garber. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeff Garber.
I don't know him personally, no.
No. Well, he used to do the sound for the New Bedford Folk Festival,
Oh, okay.
and he's a good sound technician, and he's a hell of a mandolin player. He looks like Grizzly Adams.
All right.
He's a big man. He had a beard like this. He played a mandolin, and you couldn't see the neck of the mandolin when he was playing it, but he could play it like, it was great.
Yeah.
And we used to do a lot of like the Soul Homestead Folk Festival up in South Middleborough.
Right.
We used to do the Soul Farm. We used to do a few different festivals that were around, a few coffee houses, Pilgrim's Path in Plymouth. I went all the way up to the Passim one time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was told to come up. There'd be a chance that I could play. I got up there. I put my name. It was lottery at the time, I guess they did it. And I put my name in the hat, and I never got called.
Yeah, it used to be they had an open mic that was really busy, so you didn't always get on.
Yeah.
I went and did that once years ago, but
It's quite a thing to be know, you know, to know that you played at this, because it used to be the old Club 47 or something years ago.
right, and you know, famously Dylan played there, so
Yeah.
among others.
I'm surprised you don't know my friend Vic Witherspoon.
No,
Does that sound familiar?
I don't.
No.
Where's he from?
He's good friends of Colette O'Connor
Okay.
and Dave Jackson
hmm
and those people. And Michael Sullivan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's always new days to meet new people. So
Yeah. He's an old timer. He was known as the dean of folk music in the area.
oh, really?
He had one song he wrote that was really a hit. It was called Cambridge Town.
Hmm.
And he used to tell me, he said, yeah, I used to go to the Club 47 and there was this young curly-haired kid that used to be sitting over in the corner, and there was this young lady named Joni sitting with him, and he said, you know who that was? He goes, that was Robert Zimmerman. This is, I go, okay.
Otherwise known as Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But I'd like to get him to do an interview sometime, Vic. He'd be a riot.
well, that's a good tip. Maybe I'll do that, and maybe Jeff Garber too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you got another one to play for us?
Yeah, I got another. I don't know if I've done this song on the hearing room or not. This was a traditional Irish song,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called "Red Is the Rose."
Okay.
Come over the hill, my bonny Irish lass. Come over the hill to your darling. You take the road, and I'll make the vow, and I'll be your true love forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne, and my love is fairer than any. Well, it was down by Killarney's shore that we would stray, when the moon and the stars, they were shining. The moon shone its light on her lock of golden hair, and she swore she'd be my love forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne, and my love is fairer than any. Well, it's not for the pain of my sister that I grieve. It's not for the grief of my mother. It's all for the loss of my bonny Irish lass, that my heart is breaking forever. And red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne, and my love is fairer than any. That's a beautiful song.
Yeah, I like that one. I've heard that one before. I enjoyed it. So
They also do Carrick Fergus, too.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a pretty one.
Yeah.
Van Morrison had a hit with that,
Right.
believe it or not. Yeah.
That's a nice one. So we're getting toward the end here, and I wanted to ask what advice you give to other musicians or other people who are trying to get into music and play as a lifestyle or as a job. What do you have to impart?
I'm not going to elaborate too much as a job.
Yeah, okay.
As a sense of, I'm going to say a sense of structure for yourself as a musician to keep practicing. Like the man said, how do I get to Carnegie Hall?
Right.
Practice, practice, practice.
Right.
But to me, music, like I said, music is a form of medicine. And if it makes you feel good to do it, and it makes other people feel good to hear it, then that's all that matters. And to keep doing it if it makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
When it starts to be a job, then it's time. To me, it's time to take a break from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it seems like a job, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
And I have fun with it. I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy response from people. You know, because as a musician, you get that energy that you give out. It comes back to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes you a better musician.
That's good.
You know, and it's a struggle, you know, for a lot of young musicians. You know, it's a very competitive. It's but even if you do it as a hobby, even if you do it to amuse yourself, do it because it's a good thing.
So, do you want to close with Carrickfergus or another song?
Right now, I'll close with a traditional. Actually, I'll close with a traditional Philadelphia song.
Okay.
Which was written, and a lot of people are familiar with it. And my friend Rick Page always asked me to play it for him.
All right.
So it's by Michael Peter Smith, who just recently crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of his biggest hits. It was done by, I believe, Tommy Makem, Liam Clancy. It's called The Dutchman. The Dutchman's not the kind of man who jams his thumb in a dam that holds his dreams in. But that's a secret only Margaret knows. When Amsterdam is golden in the summer, Margaret brings him breakfast, she believes him. He thinks the tulips bloom beneath the snow. He's as mad as he can be, but Margaret only sees that sometime. Sometimes she sees her unborn children in his eye. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that for me. The Dutchman still wears wooden shoes and a cap and coat that Margaret patched with love within. Sometimes he thinks he's still in Rotterdam, as he watches the tugboats go down the canal and calls out to them when he thinks he knows the captain. till Margaret comes to take him home again. Through unforgiving streets he stumbles, Margaret takes his arm. Sometimes he thinks he's alone and calls her name. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that for me. Winter whirls the windmills round. Margaret winds his muffler tighter. They sit in the kitchen. Some tea with whiskey keeps away the dew. And he calls out to her as she makes the beds up, and she's singing some old love song. One that Margaret knew when it was very new. He hums a line or two. They sing together in the dark. The Dutchman falls asleep and Margaret blows the candle out. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man. Dear Margaret remembers that for me. That's a nice song.
Yeah, I like that one. I hadn't heard that before. But I like that. So, thanks for joining me today, Jay. This was great. Do you have anything you want to promote or tell people where you're going to be and play?
Well, I'll be probably on the Desert Southwest on Facebook tonight.
Okay.
It'll be me, Rick Page, me, and then Art.
Okay, and that's
that's the Desert Southwest.
Well,
open mic
this is going to air on Monday though, so
yeah.
I'll put this up on Monday. So when's the desert? What day of the week is it usually? It's Thursday. Every week?
On Thursdays, yeah, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays.
Okay, great.
And I'll be at the Hearing Room tomorrow night.
Okay.
For the British Invasion.
Oh wow!
I got some Donovan.
Sounds good. All right. So thanks again, Jay. And I want everybody to know that hearingroom.net is where you go to find out more about the Hearing Room. And you should go and check out the Greenville Junction Shoppy. Greenville, Greenville, Junction, Junktion, Shoppy, Shoppe. Check it out, and see you next time.
Dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, the hearing room. A place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, the sirens blare. The tables sit near folding chairs. The stage is set with paint and glue, and love went into every screw. The sale.